Welcome back to the show, everybody. You're going to love what's going on today. The headline is the case against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen has been dismissed. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it is $1.17 trillion market cap for cryptocurrency. Good morning. The market is up 4.7% this morning. Bitcoin, 29,900 plus. It wants to be 30,000. We'll keep an eye on it. 1,600 and change right now for Ethereum. It's up a little bit. 83.8 billion plus for Tether. If I'm not mistaken, it is right around the all-time high for Tether. We'll keep an eye on that. And looking at XRP right now at 51 cents. It is responding to the good news, I believe, in the market news, the fundamental news of the case being dropped against Brad and Chris. We're about to get into every single bit of that. We're up 7.2% in the 24 hour, 7.7 on the 7-day. So I think you see where the gains are coming from. Now, what we have been doing is going to the Freedom Zone at the end of the video, but I'm going to show you right now the kind of stuff that we're going to be going over in the Freedom Zone. And I want to let all of you know the Freedom Zone, if you don't know, is a way for all of us to stay connected because there's so much censorship taking place on social media platforms. Now, with that being said, I want you to know for less than it costs to have YouTube Premium, you're going to get Google ad free videos, my daily videos for free without Google ads, as well as extra content about the things that we can't talk about on social media because of the censorship that's going on out here. And just to let you know, today we're about to get into right now the creatures from Jekyll Island, how the Federal Reserve was created, and more importantly, why it's important because of this guy. Remember him? John F. Kennedy, former president. Remember his brother? Remember what happened to both of them. And remember this guy, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? And there's no mistake why he's running for president, and there's no mistake why Bitcoin is a part of his message and cryptocurrency broadly. And we're going to get into it today. And for the cost of a cup of coffee, you can join us in the Freedom Zone and stay connected and have the very real conversation we're about to have right now. Click that link underneath the video. Let's get started now that we're back. Boy, that was something right there. You got to go check that out. You're going to love it. We start right here very quickly as a reminder that the G7 talks economy, digitization, CBDCs, and plans for regulating crypto and stable coins, ladies and gentlemen. What does that tell you? I think it's pretty exciting about what's happening on the global stage, as well as this. This came in yesterday. We covered it. But here is Christine Lagarde very quickly before we get into the case details, which you're going to want every single bit of, and what's coming next for the case. It's the digital euro is on the move, opening, and the preparation phase has been approved. This is the president of the European Central Bank, former IMF managing director, Christine Lagarde. Listen to what she says.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you? For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area. All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process. Cash or digital, the choice will be yours. Your euro, your choice.
There you have it right there. Massive moves taking place, ladies and gentlemen. I want to remind everybody, if you haven't known, I know it's a busy world, Ripple is a part of the Digital Euro Association. Ripple is also a part of the Digital Pound Association. Ripple is also a part of the Digital Dollar Project. These are very important things to note, as this came in yesterday and we covered it here. The DTCC, which settles more than $2 quadrillion worth of securities every single year without fail, just bought and acquired Securrency. Well, what's interesting about this here is if you look at this, DTC announced that they have signed a definitive, well, not acquired, but it is to acquire, a definitive agreement to acquire Securrency, a leading developer of institutional-grade digital asset infrastructure. Now, what's so amazing about that is that the DTCC is about to settle digital securities, which is incredible because they have over $2 quadrillion worth of securities they settle every year. So at some point, we're going to be moving there. But Securrency protocols can be utilized on Ethereum, Stellar, Ripple, and EOS and other distributed ledgers, as well as on legacy systems. Yes, indeed. This is allowing for seamless on-chain and off-chain movement of tokens, ladies and gentlemen. The new world isn't coming. The new world is here. And in the same breath, in the same day, in the same moment, this dropped hours later. James Filan. Boy, Jim, it was such a pleasure to meet you at the proper party. I certainly hope we get to meet again someday. All you have done for this community has been amazing and continue to do, as so many others. Breaking: case dismissed against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen. Now we're talking about it. Take a look here very quickly here. Listen to what it says. I'm no lawyer. I'm 12 years short of a law degree, but I understand this. Stipulation of voluntary dismissal. It is hereby stipulated and agreed by and between the parties and or their respective counsels that the above captioned action is voluntarily dismissed with prejudice against the defendant Brad Garlinghouse and Christian A. Larsen and without cost pursuant to Rule 41A, 1A, 2, and then it says here the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure document filed by the Security Exchange Commission. Proposed document to be reviewed and processed by the clerk's office, staff, no action required by chambers. But the point that you want to grab here that grabs me, right, is that the above captioned action is voluntarily dismissed with prejudice against the defendants, Brad and Chris. That means it's done. They're not going back. There ain't going to be no trial. This from Eleanor Terrett when it broke here. She reported, and shout out to her, the SEC's case against Ripple's Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen has been dismissed after both parties, that's extremely important right there, has been dismissed after both parties agreed to the dismissal. This means there will be no trial in April of next year. Come on in. Well, we got more. And then here's our chief legal officer from Ripple, Stuart Alderati, says the SEC made a serious mistake going after Brad and Chris personally, and now they have capitulated, dismissing all charges against our executives. This is not a settlement. This is a surrender by the SEC. Damn! Look, I got to go ahead and just, man, am I glad I got this picture. Look at the smile on my face there with Stuart Alderati. He probably don't even know who the hell I am, but I tell you what, I know who he is, and I am grateful for what he is doing for Ripple the company and Brad and Chris. And Brad responds here, and I say, this is how they do it in Kansas. Ripple 3, SEC 0, undefeated. Brad answers back here on the actual dropping and dismissing of all charges. He said, today was an even better day. Ripple 3, SEC 0, in all seriousness, Chris and I, in a case involving no claims of fraud or misrepresentations, were targeted by the SEC in a ruthless attempt to personally ruin us and the company so many have worked hard to build for over a decade. Are you hearing what he's saying here? It is a personal attack to come after them the way they have done. And it's unbelievable. It is unconscionable, despicable. I'm telling you. And then he goes on to say the SEC repeatedly kept its eye off the ball while secretly meeting with the likes of Sam Bankman-Fried, failing again and again to protect U.S. consumers and businesses. How many millions of taxpayers' dollars were wasted? Feels good to finally be vindicated. Yes, it does. I even had a post where I said earlier, I was like, how much longer are we going to watch these two good people's names be drugged through the mud? Right? Now it's over. But think about what are the real damages done here. This is why I think it's good that Eleanor Terrett reported that both parties agreed that there would be a dismissal. So there's more to learn here. We're not done with you just yet. It goes without saying, but I truly work with the best lawyers in the business, including but not limited to Stuart Alderati, Debbie McCrimmon, and from Ripple, clearly Gottlieb's Matt Solomon, who's amazing. A heartfelt thank you for your leadership, wisdom, and friendship. There you go right there, but we're not done. John Deaton said it. As I said, the SEC was never going to take this to trial. And remember what the fortune teller had also told us, that he could see this getting dropped and there'd be some kind of a settlement where it comes down to what's the size of the check so Gary Gensler could claim a victory, even though all of us in the know realize they have had their ass handed to them, right? Well, there's more here. So what are the next steps here? What are the next steps in the Ripple case? Comes from Eleanor Terrett. Give her a follow now that the SEC has dropped the charges against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen. Expect to see some more litigation in the penalty phase, remember, between the two parties in regards to appropriate penalty for Ripple's $700 million plus of institutional sales. Now, lawyers are telling her Ripple will likely be able to reduce the penalty down, but the SEC will still want a substantial amount of bragging rights. They say expect a big fight. But note, the SEC can still appeal Judge Torres's decision regarding the programmatic sales and other distributions of XRP. Torres denied the agency's request for interlocutory appeal on October 3rd, saying they had to wait until after the trial. Now there is no trial. The SEC could potentially appeal after the penalty phase. But overall, this is a big victory for Ripple and the crypto industry as a whole, and another loss to add to the pile for the SEC. That's what we're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen. So now it does come down to how big that check's going to be. And again, that's why I highlighted that both parties agreed to the dismissal. So there has to be some kind of agreement about what's going to be the number on that check, wouldn't you think? And then we don't know what the SEC will do from there because they don't embarrass very easily. So don't be surprised if they come back with something after all of that is out of the way. Don't be surprised. Right? We've been here long enough that the SEC is a despicable organization and they are not trying to protect investors. Now, looking at this, Jeremy Hogan chimes in. Shout out to him as well as John Deaton and others. Being sued is not fun. It keeps you up at night. It's always in the back of your mind. So, very happy for Brad and Chris, and that's enough for now. And then he goes on to say, okay, yes, this does make a full settlement much more likely, as the only legal question left is how big a check Ripple writes to the SEC. There, I said it. Are you happy? Yeah. Damages as to Ripple are still left to be determined. That's months and briefings and hearings. Fun. Yes. No doubt about it. We are moving towards it. Bill Morgan, shout out to him as well, says great news for Brad and Chris that the SEC case against them has been dismissed with prejudice. No trial for them next April. Now we move on to the penalty phase of the case. Then we can see who appeals what. So see, again, hinting to after the penalty phase, watch out. The SEC's probably not done in that regard. So head on a swivel with that. And then I say congrats on your victory, Chris Larsen. I hope you and Brad Garlinghouse have enough gas in the tank to take action against a rogue administrative state, because that's based on Chris Larsen's comments here. Said the last 3 years we've seen a rogue administrative state that needs to be held accountable for its actions. That tells me they're not done for the fight here. They're up for the fight, and I love it. Not just an investigation into conflicts of interest that led to these baseless claims, listen to what he says, but how the U.S. actively demolished its global standing as the home for innovation with thousands of jobs moving overseas. Enough is enough. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. these boys got some fight in them, right? I like this. This is good. And I don't think they're done by a long shot. And thank goodness that they've got the coffers and the strength to see it through, because the SEC is not going to stop until somebody puts them down for good. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're just getting started. I'll catch all of you on the next one.